Okay, Chris, you're in charge of the Cruze around the globe. How many countries is this car sold in?
75 plus.
Wow.
So it's really a mainstream for our Chevrolet brand. It's, wherever we have Chevrolet, you're pretty much going to see the Cruze.
And this is your best-selling car, right?
Globally, this is our number one selling car. Been
So-
very successful for us, and really needed to update it in order to keep that going.
No pressure.
Yeah, exactly. But build on success.
So where were the origins of the Cruze originally, like the previous model? It was a car also sold around the world, and then it came to North America, right?
It did, and so it's a very global vehicle. We share the development globally. We designed the architecture out of Europe, out of our Germany engineering center, but we then tailor the vehicle to each market need. But so it's a very global expression of what we can do around the world.
So, the one thing I always say to people about General Motors here, and there's still, unfortunately, naysayers out there, as you know, is that I don't think people are realizing the engineering might that General Motors has. I mean, you have, I think almost 30,000 engineers or something around the world. So you have a lot of capability to pull from. And so what areas around the world do you pull from? So Germany, obviously, would be, Europeans for chassis and tuning of suspension, that sort of thing. So what else do you pull on?
Well, we pull on the expertise around the world, and we start both, with Germany with the architecture, the structure of the vehicle, and chassis development. But then we have an extreme amount of capability in North America as well, refining the vehicle to each market's needs. In this case, for Canada. But then we also can use our engineering centers around the world to develop the right needs, whether they're features or their performance specs for the vehicle, and whether that's in Asia or South America. We have that local in-market knowledge and expertise that we can bring to bear.
Now, compact cars in Canada historically have been the best seller. So your main competitors would be Civic and Corolla and those sorts of things. And the Cruze has been like top 5 seller. And you really believe with this new model that you're kind of making a big jump, right?
Well, absolutely. So, and the way I like to describe it is that we maintain and keep a very healthy respect for all the competitors. We do a lot of benchmarking. We're very knowledgeable about where they've been and where we think they're going. But at the end of the day, we want to deliver a vehicle that we think is the right expression for us, both in terms of the Cruze and the Chevrolet brand overall. So we're doing that balancing act of keeping a keen eye on the competition, but also being who we want to be.
Because speaking to a lot of other manufacturers, we're hearing that people are impressed with how much Honda threw at the Civic, right? They've got a lot of advanced safety tech that they've got in there. Toyota rallied back and said, we're going to offer that same safety tech on every Toyota car starting next year. So it's a real race out there, isn't it? And you've got, I think one of the areas that Chevrolet is giving my opinion about your cars is ride and handling and interior comfort and connectivity is really where I think you shine.
Yeah, so a couple areas that I'd like to point to, and like we not just say in the company, but we're really acting upon it, customer at the center. So where's the customer leading us?
Sitting here.
Yeah, and we think it's leading us to all the ride and handling goodness that not only provides just the direct ride and handling feel of the vehicle, but the overall quality sensation of the vehicle. We think that's being delivered through that ride and handling. You mentioned the connectivity with the OnStar, with the Wi-Fi, the connectivity with your mobile device and Apple CarPlay or Android Auto. That combination we think is unparalleled and really sets us apart, not just in the Cruze, but on the Chevrolet brand. And then, with the Cruze itself, the overall design of the vehicle, the roominess and the expressiveness that the design in this new vehicle brings to the market is, we think that's kind of a unique combination that's not out there.
Well, I would suggest that now, finally, here we are in 2016, where you have a cohesive design on the outside from your cars, right? They had resemblances, but it wasn't really cohesive. Now it seems like you've got a really nice cohesive design from your least expensive cars up to your biggest, your Impala. So I think that at least you've got a design that you're sticking with, right?
Yeah, on the styling front, what we'd like to say, it's not our objective to go and make from large to small look identical.
Yeah, well, BMW's done that, and they all kind of look the same, right?
Right, so we don't want that Russian doll effect, if you will, but we do want the family resemblance. We want each nameplate to have its own character, and that's really driven by, what the customer wants and what that part of the market is looking for, but at the same time maintaining that Chevrolet family resemblance, and we think we're doing that right now.
Well, I'll throw a few out for you on your behalf. J.D. Power and Associates dependability study when you talk about cars after 3 years. So the cars that they announced here recently were on the 2013 cars. So these are the cars that are 3 years old. General Motors, not just Chevrolet, but General Motors won more categories than any other brand, right? So that speaks to what you're doing right. And in the presentation today, this is very Canadian specific, of the compact cars. So we're up against, Corolla and Civic and Mazda 3 and all of these different cars. The Chevy Cruze has the highest return rate, meaning people go back and buy another one, than any other product. So that must feel good that General Motors is getting it right.
No, that's right. And that's where we feel, especially with the Cruze, building upon success. It's a key segment for us in a key market, and building off that success of the Cruze. And we recognize in this segment in particular, of a couple really important reasons for purchase, that reliability has to be there. As much as any segment in the market, and probably more than most, people rely on this as their single vehicle in household.
Right.
This is really their go-to vehicle.
The one family car.
Right. And so we recognize that. We like to term it, as opposed to the house wine, this is your house car. And it's really the go-to. And so it's got to deliver in that reliability aspect. If it doesn't, then we're not going to see the numbers that we're seeing today with that return to the Chevrolet brand and to the Cruze itself.
Yeah, so sales are up 30% in the first quarter of 2016. So I guess I've noticed with General Motors going on many of these different programs and driving and experienced the cars and speaking to people like yourself, engineers and executives, that it seems to be a sort of an unwavering path that you're on, that the new General Motors is really a different company, right?
Centered on the customer, delivering what the customer wants, being aggressive in our product development, bringing the right things to market quickly, keeping the vehicles fresh. And I mean, there's a lot of enthusiasm right now in the market.
Well, when you start selling cars and winning awards, you feel good, right?
And it feels good, and it feels like it's winning. And we don't take that for granted, and we take it very humbly, but we're thrilled by it, and we want to build upon it.
Well, one thing I'm noticing is just how aggressive all of the car manufacturers are. So here we are in this new car that is less expensive than the car that it replaces. It has way more technology in it. It's an all-new platform, all-new engine. You've got the Turbo 1.4 now is the standard engine, where before it was the optional upgrade engine.
Correct.
It's got better fuel economy. It's got more power. It's got all of that. It's less expensive. But you know that the competition is doing the same thing. Are we going to get back to a time like we did in the 50s and the 60s where you're going to have model changes almost every year? Like the car won't look different, but there's going to be major upgrades every year? Because you remember in the 50s and the 60s, the 64 looked different than the 65 and so on. It just seems like the 4-year or 5-year cycle of a car is kind of gone now. We have to get the car companies are down to like almost 2-year cycles of upgrading cars. Well,
I mean, what we recognize, you got to be aggressive and you got to maintain your competitiveness. And that's bringing something new to the customer regularly. And like you say, it may not be a wholesale change every year, but we got to keep up to date and fresh and what the customer needs, what the market needs. And, you mentioned several of our upgrades across the line with the all-new engine on every car. That's part of doing that in this brutally competitive segment in particular. So we think we're doing that. I think you're going to see us continue to do that in this vehicle over the next coming years. Our view is we don't just want to compete. We're in it to win it. And we think with this vehicle, we have the base to do so.
Well, it's going to be interesting to see because the Cruze has always done well in Canada. It was typically, number 5 overall in compact car sales. It'll be interesting to see if it can move up the ranks, and I'm excited to drive it today. So congratulations on your new Cruze. No pressure. You just got to keep updating it. The one thing I would like to see is the automatic braking added, so you have the advanced forward collision warning system, but autonomous braking is something that other companies have.
Yeah, we see that development coming, and we're going to be prepared for that. The way I describe our safety package that we're offering customers today, we have a rear-facing package and then a forward-facing package. And really focusing on the customer and what they told us that they most need, and we're seeing this when we talk to them directly, is the rear facing package, the side blind zone alert, the rear cross traffic alert, things that they can't see behind them, the park assist.
Yeah.
And we're pricing that very aggressively, really to go first and foremost at what the customer is telling us they most want and they most need.
All right. Well, good luck with this new car. I can't wait to drive it.
Yeah, my pleasure. It's been a pleasure talking with you. Thank you.
Thanks for watching, and please subscribe. If you'd like to watch the full review of the all-new 2016 Chevy Cruze, click the picture on the left.